My name is Sandra Gayer. I'm a soprano singer, vocalist, I'm a voiceover artist, and I present on the radio. I'm a radio presenter. I sing operatically, I sing sacred music, music theatre, Celtic singing, that's fun, to traditional music as well. Music from films, don't really want to say popular music, but secular music that can be popular at times. I can write music, yes, I studied composition for a bit at the Royal College of Music, but singing is my main instrument. And piano is my second. And they actually called Braille music at the time as my fourth instrument. I thought that was very funny. I use Braille in general, for day-to-day, so literary Braille, and I use Braille music. And I forgot to say I actually teach Braille music as well, but never mind. It's not pictorial, it's left to right on the page, so it looks like literary Braille. So the symbols used for it are the same ones, they're sort of recycled in a way and reused for the Braille music symbols. So for example, E minim is the letter P, but it isn't in a Braille music context, it's an E minim. But it's left to right on the page, so you can't have the upness and downness of the notes is in your own head. It's not on the page as it would be in print music, where you can see something go up and down on the page. You think, oh yes, that goes up, therefore it sounds going upwards. You have to translate that in your mind as you're reading it. So we've got to do more things. We've got to use more brain power. And yeah, so I mean, I can sight sing, but I wouldn't be able to sight play the piano because I'd need extra hands. Yes. Whereas I can get away with singing because I've got my hands to do it. So I had the privilege of singing in Italy, in Modena, with the Pavarotti Voices Foundation at the Enzo Ferrari Museum. That was an amazing experience. I was in the opera Magna Carta, the Freedom Game, which celebrated 800 years since the sealing of the Magna Carta. So I was principal soloist in that, and I was able to perform the world premiere at the Royal Albert Hall. So it was a pretty amazing feeling singing there as a soloist, because I'd been in the junior proms years ago at the Royal Albert Hall, and it was lovely to be singing as a soloist and get a sense of the audience and being all the way around, because people talk about it being in the round and you think, yeah, okay, but to actually hear it and feel it is quite something. I've done some musical theatre as well. So I was in Orpheus the Mythical as a goddess, so that was fun. And both that musical and the opera Magna Carta, the Freedom Game, Sir Richard Stilgoe wrote them and cast me in them, which was lovely to work with him too. I started off recording audiobooks for charity, and then I sort of learnt that craft and then started doing it commercially. And within that, I got some voice drills done, and they suggested at the time that I stick with accents that are rarer rather than London and streets, and they said at the time, oh, anyone can do them. So what else have you got? So I did other things, and it is fun. And I found that I was getting work for accents more than I was getting voiceover work for my ordinary voice, and I got philosophical about it at the time. I was like, no, what's my real voice? They just want weird accents, but I do like doing them, yeah, it's fun. I don't really know, I mean, I have to really get into it, do you see what I mean? You can't just turn it on, you've got to really get your head in the right frame of mind to really get going on it, because it's a certain style. It's not just any old thingy. That's how I do it. I don't really do accents, I do personas. Here we are today in this studio, this photographic studio with lots of light bulbs and flashes to frighten the life out of your eyeballs, and various chairs of insane heights and interesting posy thingies and things you've never heard of, so you can really sit in the same position for hours and make it look easy on leaning chairs and leaning boards and fun things like that, and fall over things because, as our photographer says, it's a health hazard, or it was, until it was tidied up. So this is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Have a nice time.
A stand-up comedy, I think you should do that.
No, definitely not. Well, I always used to sing along with cassettes. than showing up in my 20s. Singing is the way, the truth, and the light. And I do the radio and voiceover and real music tuition and sort of around the edges. And the key thing that links everything together is voice. So that's, as long as I get to use my voice, I'm pretty happy. I've been a soloist and in choirs and things since I was about 6, but I studied sort of classical music later on, so I joined the Royal College of Music junior department in my teens, and it was there I learned Braille music, and I learned to love Braille at that stage, you know, in my early teens, because before then I thought, well, Braille is really rubbish, you know, it's bulky, because there's 3 Braille pages to every print one, so I felt, you know, it was taking too much room, and it's rubbish. And my sighted friends at the time were like, you know, Braille is art, Braille is cool. I'm like, is it? It's really rubbish. No, it's cool, Braille is cool. And then I really got to have fun with it, because I got to read music and basically sight read, and the conductors would be saying, look up at me! Look at me! Don't be your heads in your music, look at me! And I was like, well, I don't need to do that, because I can do that. So it's like, yes, one up on my sighted peers. You can read Braille in the dark. I've got pretty good at reading it through carrier bags, so if I get things in the post, I can read the title before I take it off. But sighted people can crash learn it in about 6 months. It's not as if you're learning to reread. So when I was a kid, I was learning to read as anyone else would learn to read. So I didn't really appreciate being good at reading aloud or anything until I was about 10. You know, reading aloud in a coherent, enjoyable way you'd actually sit through. You're going to have times when you really can't be doing with anybody, and to just allow yourself to have that. But most importantly, to strive for what you love doing. I think if you're struggling to find something you like doing, just remember what you got told off for at school. I used to be told off at school for talking to myself and doing accents, and I was like, why can't you just talk in your normal voice? It's like, well, I get paid to not do that now, so. So if you're finding you don't know what to do with your life, just think back to what you got detention for, and you'll be raking it in. In terms of being disabled, it's your job, fortunately or unfortunately, to make others feel at ease with you and to get the best out of them. And a lot of people will assume you can do nothing until you do something comparatively extraordinary. So you might feel that whatever you're doing is pretty day-to-day, and they might say, oh my god, you did that, and you think, well, yeah, I always do that. So accept those things as an occupational hazard of being a disabled person. You can choose to feel how you feel about it. You don't have to feel bad about it, even though other people may try and make you feel bad, consciously or unconsciously, and not just comment in the street or whatever, but, you know, unintentional put-downs. Oh, you're doing very well, considering. You know, so take that, and, you know, I used to write songs about it to get out of my system or whatever, but do whatever you need to do to get past all those things, and come up with your own put-downs. On the inside, I'd recommend that, rather than putting people down on the outside, but just be as gracious as possible, you know, crush them with graciousness. Yes, that's the advice I give. It's a bit long-winded, but have a good time. Whatever you're doing, find the good bit. So in most situations, and some of them will only be retrospectively good, but find that bit you can treasure, and there will be that in pretty much any situation, even if it's pretty awful at the time. I mean, even able-bodied have that, where they're in a horrible situation and then they're giving a dinner party and they're telling a funny story about that awful situation. You think, well, you can't really have thought that at the time, but, you know, retrospectively, you can make something treasurable out of the trash. That's what I'd say. But in terms of working life and striving and having a good time with it, drive. There's lots and lots of things we need to do as disabled-bodied people, more things, and they may or may not take longer and involve more people than they would with an able-bodied person. So it's even more important for us to have a sense of what we want and to hold on to that bigger picture, or the eyes on the prize. And even if you've got plastic eyes, you still have eyes on the prize. Oh right, yes. Thanks.
Love it.
Offstage prom.